This is llama.cpp, the engine that lets you run almost any GGUF model on your own hardware. And I put it through 6 real setup steps, from cloning the repo to serving an OpenAI-compatible API, to find out exactly where it works and where it breaks. The biggest surprise wasn't in the build or the download. It was this. Turning on partial GPU offloading, the thing everyone assumes speeds you up, can actually make your model slower than running it on CPU alone. Step 1 is the easy part, at least on paper. You run git clone https github.com ggml org llama cpp. And according to official docs, that just works, no surprises. Building it is a 2-line job too. Make a b build, then make build config release j8. On a 2-core machine, that build takes 5 to 15 minutes, which is a real number worth knowing before you kick it off and walk away. Here's where it gets shaky. If you want GPU acceleration, you're adding flags like Ocean DGGML CUDA on, DGGML HIP on, or DGGML Vulkan on. And those are documented clearly enough, but community-reported experience says mismatches between your compiler and cached build wheels can cause the GPU flag to silently fail. Your build finishes, no errors, and your model still runs on CPU. If you'd rather skip all of this, pre-built binaries exist on GitHub releases, through Brew, through Wingit, and through Docker. Clone and build wins clean. Enabling GPU acceleration is the part that bites people. I went through the official llama.cpp docs, the build guides, and real-world performance reports from people who've actually run this on everything from an RTX 4090 to a decade-old dual-core laptop, so you don't have to piece it together yourself. This is the step that actually impressed me. The cache location is configurable through the llama cache variable, so you're not stuck with a default folder filling up your drive. Running it is just as simple. Llama CLI empath2 model.guf drops you into an interactive chat. If you want a fixed generation, llama CLI m model.jguf p once upon a time, and 256 gives you exactly 256 tokens back. When something breaks here, according to official docs, it's almost always one of 3 things: a non-GGUF file, a wrong path, or an out-of-memory error, and lowering the quantization or the context size fixes the case nearly every time. One of the biggest problems I run into when using AI agents is turning their output into YouTube content I can actually use to market my product. That's why this video is sponsored by Subscriber, a tool that helps business owners connect their AI agents to YouTube and market their products without spending 10 hours every week creating content. You can connect Claude or ChatGPT directly to Subscriber. It then analyzes your business, website, and YouTube channel to help you create SEO-optimized video ideas, scripts, thumbnails, and even complete videos that actually match your brand. What I like most is that every week, Subscriber gives me a list of high-potential video ideas I can immediately execute, and it can even help edit videos for me, with or without my face, including videos like the one you're watching right now. It's easy to get started, and you can try Subscriber for free using the link in the description below. Now back to the video. This step is a clean win, no asterisks. One command, llama CLI hf ggml org quen3508b gfaf, downloads and caches the model for you. No manual hunting through Hugging Face pages, and you can even pin a specific quant like i4km right in that command. This is the step I opened this video with, because it's the one where good intentions actively hurt you. The flag is ngl, or n GPU layers. 0 means CPU only, a number means partial offload, and -1, 99, or 999 all mean push every layer onto the GPU. Estimating how many layers you can fit is straightforward on paper. Take the file size, divide by the layer count, then add 1 to 2 gigabytes for the KV cache. For something like Llama 3.18b at Q4 KAM, that works out to roughly 153 megabytes per layer. But here's the trap, and this is community consensus, not a footnote. Partial offloading is actively discouraged because any weights that don't fit in VRAM get retransferred every single token. That retransfer cost can eat the entire GPU speedup, leaving you slower than if you just run CPU only in the first place. It gets worse with mixture of experts models, where you're supposed to pin the always active parameters to GPU, and let the routed experts sit on CPU using the llama.cpp flag. That flag is powerful, but it's genuinely complex to configure correctly. One community troubleshooting note sums up the whole step. If your layers didn't land on the GPU, bump ER and GPU layers and confirm it with NVIDIA SMI while a request is running. This is the first real gotcha step, and it's the one people get wrong the most. Back to clean territory. Starting the server is one line, yash llama server. models.model.GGUF she 2048, and it listens by default at ATG127Q1888. What makes this genuinely useful is that it exposes V1 chat completions, V1 completions, V1 embeddings, and V1 models, which means the standard OpenAI Python client works as a drop-in. You literally point OpenAI base r/REP local host or v1 AP key not needed. At your local server, an existing code just runs. The one thing worth knowing before you configure this: the office NP flag divides your context window across parallel slots, and the default context isn't some fixed 4096 number. It's whatever the model itself was trained with. Get that wrong, and you'll wonder why your context feels smaller than expected. Outside of that one caveat, this step works exactly as documented. Stick with me, because the last 5 tests are where this decision actually flips. This is where llama.cpp earns its reputation as the engine that runs on almost anything. On an 8-core AMD RX 3700X, just 5 threads are enough to fully saturate memory bandwidth, and according to official docs and independent testing, adding more threads past your physical core count actually hurts performance rather than helping it. The rule is threads should match physical cores, not logical ones. Quantizing the KV cache with RRR CDK Q440 CTV Q4L Core 0 cuts KV memory usage down to roughly a quarter of the original, for a perplexity increase of about 7.6%, which is a genuinely good trade for anyone tight on RAM. In the extreme case, a 2-core Intel Core 2 Duo, a chip from 2008, running Qwen 3.5/4B at QRKOM, manages around 2 tokens per second. One more detail that matters more than people expect: setting v.swappiness to 10 and allowing unlimited memlock helps avoid the micro freezes that come from memory swapping. This entire step is a clean win. It just requires patience on weak hardware. That's slow, and you're limited to small models in the 1B to 4B range, but it works. Quantizing a model is a single command, about llama quantize model F16 GGUF model Q4 GGUF Q4QM, and according to official docs, the decision tree is genuinely clear. Under 8 GB of VRAM, go Q2K or Q3KM. 8 to 16 GB, go Q4KM. 16 to 32, go Q5KM or Q6K. 32 and above, go Q80 or F16. The actual numbers back this up. At 7B scale, Q80 runs about 8.0 GB with a perplexity increase of just 0.3. Q6K drops to 5.8 GB at plus 0.2. Q5K LBM lands at 5.0 GB and plus 0.06. Core KIM, the recommended sweet spot, comes in at 4.3 GB with a perplexity delta of plus 0.18. Push further to Core KIM and you're at 3.5 GB but plus 0.6, and Q2K drops to 2.8 GB at a steep plus 3.FV2. That last jump is not subtle. You can also run the importance matrix tool, Llama I Matrix, which community-reported results suggest reduces perplexity by 10 to 30% over naive quantization. Here's where llama.cpp clearly pulls ahead of the field. Now, here's where the second pick clearly pulls ahead. Pick the one whose single biggest strength matches the job in front of you today. One thing the docs never spell out will quietly cost you if you miss it. If this helped, the next breakdown on the channel goes even deeper.